So EVO 2023 has come and passed. Congratulations to all the top 6 finalists who put on an amazing show throughout the whole weekend. It was an amazing spectacle this weekend. But nothing could prepare me for the new trailer NetherRealm Studios dropped right after the Tekken finals. I hate to sound like a broken record at this point, but they did it again. They outdid their previous trailer with ease. I don't know how they keep doing this. I'm scared for the next trailer. How can I even top this one? Guess we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, with this trailer dropped, I am now of the opinion that this is hands down, without a shadow of a doubt, the best trailer Mortal Kombat has ever pulled. And we haven't even seen every character revealed yet. That's crazy, right? If you are an MK fan of any era, you are eating good. And who else has been eating really good is Reptile, because his new Reptile form, my boy put on some mass. He looks so cool. They finally found a way to combine his highly requested human form again that we haven't seen since the arcade era. And they mixed it with his rather obscure form, his full reptilian form from Deadly Alliance, and it's a match made in heaven. He looks so cool. This is the best design I have ever witnessed for Reptile, and his moveset is so much better for it. When he's in human form, we get the typical fast, nimble, ninja-like moves, but then when he changes his form, you get these slower, brutal attacks. And it's such a cool change of pace the entire time to keep your opponent on his toes. And just how his ninja look works together with the transformations, right? You see the scale patterns throughout his cloth. His armor is spiked and scaled. The large sash that dangles from behind that transforms into his tail. Like you can see it here when he does a sweep, for example, which is huge, by the way, because his tail is so long. You can see it transform into this tail and turn back. It's awesome. And you see this in so many moves as well. It's really sick. A lot of his classic moves have him transform into the reptile form and do him. Like you can see it here with the force ball, which is huge in this game. Look at this gigantic orb just taking up all this space, and it's still a meterless launcher. We can see that. You can't see, or at least I haven't noticed it, is if we can launch it in different speeds, like you could in the previous games. It hasn't been shown yet, I believe, or at least I haven't noticed any difference. And a really cool nod is his acid spit that's back. Like instead of fully transforming into the reptile form, he only changes his upper body and then spits out the acid, which is only done clearly to be a nod to the classic human reptile. As when he spits acid, he would remove his face mask, it will reveal the silly reptile face, and then it spits acid. So as a nod now, you only see him transform his upper body, spit, and then turn back into the human form, which is, it just shows his incredible attention to detail that these characters are getting in general throughout this game. We see a lot of animations return from, well, I say a lot, but it's like we see a few animations return at least. Like this claw attack looks a bit like his MKX special, just animation wise. His slide returns, and it's super cool. Instead of just sliding forward and hitting you with a low kick, he actually fully transforms into his reptile form, lunges towards you, dodging projectiles, grabs you and does a gator roll. Like, it's so cool. Like, the theming of Reptile is out of this world. Also, as a bonus, it reminded me of Hakan from Street Fighter 4, who also slides over the floor, but then with oil and tackles you. So it made me chuckle for a bit there, because I love Hakan. Hakan is one of my favorite Street Fighter characters. So Capcom, if you would be listening, perchance, please bring back Hakan. Please? Pretty please? Anyways, Reptile is awesome. Shoutouts as well to his fatality that they've shown. That is a combination of his 3 classic fatalities. The Invisible, Chomp, Yummy, and Acid Puke, I believe they're called. He would probably be my current #1 character to play day one if it wasn't for this one other guy that reared his very ugly head. Havoc's back, baby. Finally, after 17 goddamn years, he's back in a playable form. And excuse my French, but holy shit, he is so fucking awesome. They just took his grotesqueness and dialed it up to 11. I thought they would tone him down, but I'm sorry for doubting you, NRS. You just decided to go all the way. They just turned him into this more slow-paced, brutal brawler of a character with a grotesque moveset. We see him rip off his own limbs to extend his range right here. You will see him do kicks and then his lower leg detaches from his upper legs just to increase his range. His, I guess I could say, iconic torso twist is back, which looked kind of goofy in the old 3D era games. But here it's a highly detailed, gross move. You see his torso detach from his lower body in enough detail. Like, he detaches his upper body from his lower body and then just starts twisting his torso while hitting you over and over again. It looks gross, but also very cool. We also see this new move where he just breaks open his mouth, like he dislocates his lower jaw, and then God knows what pops out and flies towards the enemy. It seems very slow, but this might be one of those typical, like, very powerful setup tools that you will use after a knockdown or after you lock them down with a cameo attack or something. It's a shame, honestly, that we haven't really seen a lot from him in this video. It was clearly just like, here's Havoc, but we're not going to show too much yet. So I'll be very excited to experiment with him when the game comes out, or maybe they will reveal more of him in a Kombat cast. That would be cool. Honestly, like, I am really digging this character's new design. But yeah, that's all we really get from Havoc. He looks very imposing. He's very tall, right? Like, he's hunched over, but you can see that he's very tall. But yeah, that's about what we see from Havoc. And then last, but definitely not least, we get another character that hasn't been seen for nearly 2 decades. With Azra. And Azra, she looks very different. I like it a lot. Her old look was a bit boring, I want to say. It had a lot of female Raiden vibes, and not much more was going on. And honestly, the same could be said about her moveset. And she has been drastically changed. And although I'm usually not a fan of characters just being completely different and not really harking back with their special moves to their previous iterations, Azra just didn't have a lot to work with. She has a really cool backstory, which remains the same. So she will once again be a demon from the Netherrealm who had a change of heart and is on a quest to purge all evil within her to become more and more human. So that's why she looks like this not quite human character. But moveset wise, she is such a different beast. She still wields the Chris, and that's where the similarities end. I really had to grasp at straws here to make some comparison to her old moveset. So I guess this stabbing move and these 2 slashes could be the base for this specific move, and her wushu style sword attacks that we see much more prevalent now. Yeah, she kind of becomes a sword master type character, which animation wise it looks very sick. I like her angel motif, right? It goes really well with her being a demon trying to redeem herself, so having all these white wings over her suit, very cool. I like as well in one of her fatalities she sprouts these feathered wings, so there's a lot of angel motifs going on. I think that's very interesting. And it contrasts nicely with the Netherrealm demons. We see her fight here, which just look like, they almost look Tarkatan-like, right? Like big brutes with spikes everywhere. But then they also show Serena, which I will talk more about later, but you can see here she's still like fully demon. And the contrast of this black and red and the white is very cool. Yeah, she seems to be all about big combos. As you can see here, she's using the Cyrex cameo to do some serious damage to her opponent. And one thing that immediately pops out once you've seen the whole sequence is that she has this golden aura around her weapon. And in the next sequence, she will do the exact same move, so the moveset remains the same. But there's this purple aura around the sword. And if you look even closer, you will see that when the purple aura is, I guess, enabled, you see these effects that fly towards the opponent while he's getting hit. This might just be visual, but I'm guessing that that is her new gimmick. That she has something with these two stances, or she needs to try to work towards this purple stance, which will do additional effects on the opponent. Because when you look back to the footage when she's using the golden aura, there is no effect on the opponent while they're being hit. So I just thought that was interesting, and I assume that's gonna be a big part of her gameplay. But yeah, once again, they show a lot of action sequences, but they don't really show a lot. We see these very fast movements, she flips, she does air combos. Both in her air combo and her throw, we see her move very fast. But it doesn't really show in other gameplay, so I don't know if this is just a graphical effect or she has some form of dashes or anything. But yeah, she's completely redesigned, but I like her redesign. Like in her old games, she was just spinning forward or spinning standing. She was like this weird mix of Kung Lao and Raiden, and she had zero things going on for herself. And they took the bones of that character and made it into an actual, compelling, cool, complete character. And that is the hallmark of these modern NRS reintroductions. They're always hitting it out of the park. So I'm glad that they finally found the courage to just throw in a bunch of these characters and completely redesign them and show this new audience, like, look, these 3D era characters, they can be cool. They can be good. It's very important. And then we saw a lot of cameos. Serena, like I said before. Another character, together with Darius, who hasn't been seen since, you can say it together with me, Mortal Kombat Armageddon. So that's at least 5 characters now. 3 on the main roster side and 2 on the cameo side. That finally have their time to shine and be reintroduced to a new audience. And I'm here all for it. So Serena, once again, she was a character that I thought was not very interesting in the 3D era games. She just had a very overpowered knife toss that was absolutely bonkers. And that's all I remember from her. And here she looks great. I like the sickles she's using now instead of the knives that she was throwing. Now she throws sickles. And she always had this backstory that she was a demon, but we never saw this demon look. And now you can see her transform from the goth chick, so to speak, to the demon. That's very badass to me. And it seems both forms are used, as you can see here, when she's throwing the sickles to extend the combos, and they return, so that's a very powerful combo extension tool for grounded combos. She also has this very fast, like an anti-air kick, it seems. But then here, she shows up in her human form, and she casts this spell on the floor. No idea what it does. It reminds me of Quan Chi, who used to have these runes to put on the floor when he was in MKX. So this is the first type of this cameo attack that we see, so I'm very curious if we will see more of these channeling moves. So she's definitely looking like a very interesting cameo attack with combo extensions, whatever that sigil on the floor does, and a good anti-air option for maybe you have a character that lacks anti-airs. Cyrax, I think we might now see his full moveset, so we knew he had a self-destruct from before in the previous trailer. And here we see the net return. Awesome. That was very important. Without the net, Cyrax to me is just not Cyrax. He needs the bomb and he needs the net. And then this once again another grounded combo extension tool, which has his buzzsaws, but his arms turn into buzzsaws, which is new. It's very cool. And then he funnily like helicopters away, which I'm quite sure is a reference to his very silly Mortal Kombat 3 fatality where he turns into a helicopter and then chops you up on his way down. It's very silly, as you can see here. Surely it's a reference, right? Like, why else would he just helicopter away? But he is all about the combo, right? Like his self-destruct combos, net combo extension, and then this move also a combo extension. I mean, you see Azra use both here to do significant combo on the opponent. And that makes sense, because Cyrex was ultimately, in the majority of his appearances, a combo machine. So having him as a combo cameo only makes sense to me. But yeah, what a trailer it was. Story-wise, well, we get introduced to a lot of characters, and we see a little bit of glimpses between Melina and Kitana, that there is some distrust growing. We see Kitana waving, but Melina is looking at her like, I'm supposed to be the big deal, why are you waving, this kind of deal. So we're seeing a little bit of a setup there, I believe. But other than that, oh, I nearly forgot. It was a nice bit right before we see the introduction between Azra and Havoc. Azra deflects this green skull. They try to bait you into thinking this might be Havoc's skull, I guess. But you know, there is only one character in the entire history of Mortal Kombat that has used green skulls as his weapon. And that's Quan Chi. In any iteration of Mortal Kombat, if there's a green skull projectile, it's Quan Chi. We know Quan Chi is coming as DLC, but it seems he might be involved in the story somehow. We found some backstory from Havoc as well, which reads: Havoc is an anarchist rebel from the oppressive realm of Seido, intent on taking down his world's regime while leveraging a unique, limb-tearing fighting style. If you are not familiar with the PS2 era of Mortal Kombat lore, which is understandable, let me tell you that Havoc being rewritten in this way, that he is now from Seido rather than a cleric from Chaos Realm, that's a big deal. He is now basically taking the role that Darius had in the PS2 games, where Darius, he was the rebel that sought to break free from the oppressive regime of the Sidon Guard, spearheaded by Hotaru, one of the chief militants of Order Realm. So I'm really hoping to see Havoc's story explained a bit, to see how he became this agent of chaos while being from Order Realm. And now that Seido has been name dropped, hopefully this means we could see some potential Hotaru returning in the future. He was the counterpart of Havoc in the 3D games, being this zealot of order. Not a good guy, not a bad guy. Just all about order in any way he can get it. More than willing to side with tyrants like Onaga if he thinks this would better his chances to bring order to all realms. He's a tall, powerful, armored guard wielding a Naginata. I think he would make like a really cool fit in this game. And then we found some screenshots on certain websites that showed Havoc and Azra fighting on a background that wasn't shown at all in the trailer. Nor has it been shown in any other trailer. And that's this screenshot. And I don't know about you guys, but this just screams Onaga to me. Once again, we see the immortal army of the Dragon King. All the way in the background, we see what might be a huge Shinnok's amulet-like construction that's being guarded by these statues. Surely this is the entrance to the ancient tomb of the Dragon King. Like, we have Onaga being mentioned in dialogues. We see the immortal Dragon King's army. I don't know. It seems awfully weird to just show all these very Onaga-related stuff and then just have someone else be there. I mean, it's still very possible. It's a new timeline. We can't be sure of anything. But to me, at the very least, I think we will either see Onaga or the Kamidogu, or the one being pivotal to this story. Maybe all three. It would be cool to see some 3D era story elements being involved in the story again. As we've seen already so many returning 3D era characters. It wouldn't be that weird, I think, to see some 3D era lore. Like the Kamidogu, Onaga, and the One Being. And that's going to be about it from me for this video. Yeah, I think I said everything I wanted to say. This was a very new style of recording for me. I hope it goes over well. Once again, if you listened all this way here, thank you so much. It means a lot to me that you want to listen to this strange man on the internet talk about Mortal Kombat so much. Havoc is comfortably sitting on the number 1 spot right now for me to try day 1. Closely followed by Reptile, Baraka, Rain, and Geras, I think. But, I mean, I kind of want to play the whole roster. All of them look so sick. So with 4 to 5 slots left, is there any character that you still really are hoping for to see return? Do you already found your main? If so, which one is it? Let's keep talking Mortal Kombat.